A babysitter is the first person to know, not the police, not the neighbors, not the friends who had dinner plans with Matthew Mitchell that same Monday evening. A babysitter who had been trying to reach the Mitchell family since Sunday night and getting nothing back. She knew the rhythm of this house. She knew when these parents answered their phones and when they didn't. She knew that Di Mitchell, mother of two with a third on the way, did not let calls from the people in her circle go unanswered for almost 24 hours. The silence felt wrong. The silence kept getting longer. And on the afternoon of May 4th, 2026, that babysitter and Thi's sister, Lynn Mai, picked up the phone and called the Houston Police Department to request a welfare check. Around 5:30 in the evening, HPD officers arrived at a $12.2 million home on Kingston Street in River Oaks. River Oaks is the kind of neighborhood that does not generate police calls. Old money, quiet streets, the kind of address that, on paper, signals safety. What officers found inside that house ended 4 lives, and the only document anyone had to go on was a request for a welfare check made by a woman who could not articulate exactly what was wrong, only that something was. I'm your lead narrative architect at Redacted Files Lab. And today I want to walk you through a case that is going to be difficult for me to tell and difficult for you to hear, because at the heart of it is a question that almost nothing in the documented record can answer. What do you do when the warning signs were never written down? Subscribe to Redacted Files Lab before we go further. Today's case requires care, and the cases I cover require the kind of attention this community brings. Notifications on, please. Let me lay out what is officially confirmed before we get into anything else, because precision matters here. Houston police have identified the suspect in the Kingston Street incident as 52-year-old Matthew Mitchell. The Houston Police Department, NBC News, ABC 13, Fox 26, and the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences have all confirmed the same conclusion. Matthew Mitchell is suspected of taking the lives of his wife, Di Mitchell, age 39, their daughter, Maya, age 8, their son, Maxwell, age 4, and then his own. All 4 deaths involved gunshot wounds. The 2 children were found in their beds. The Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences recorded the time of the children's deaths as 6:11 in the evening on May 4th, 2026. Multiple sourced reports indicate that Di Mitchell was pregnant at the time of her death. That detail has been widely published, but has not been formally confirmed in the Houston Police Department's public statements as of the time of this recording. That is the official record. That is what is confirmed. Everything else, the why, the how it built, what was happening inside that home in the days and weeks before May 4th, sits in a space that nobody, not the press, not the public, not even the closest friends of either Matthew or Thi, has been able to fill in. Because there is nothing to fill it in with? Let me say that more directly. In the 6 months before May 4th, 2026, there were 0 documented police calls to that Kingston Street address. 0. Not 1 complaint. Not 1 welfare check before this final one. Not 1 incident logged with HPD that would have placed this family on any list of homes where law enforcement was watching for escalation. There are 0 legal filings of any kind in Harris County courts involving Matthew or Di Mitchell. No restraining orders, no domestic violence reports, no civil disputes, no protective orders requested or granted. Nothing. The official record on the Mitchell family prior to May 4th is a blank page. And I need you to sit with that for a second, because the systems we have built in this country to identify families in danger, the police databases, the court records, the social services flags, the protective order registries, all of them rely on documentation. If it is not written down somewhere, it does not exist. If nobody made a call, it never happened. If no report was filed, there is no signal. The Mitchell case is a direct rebuttal to the assumption that documented absence equals actual absence. Let me tell you who Di Mitchell was, because she deserves that before we go any further into this. Di was 39 years old, born in Chicago, raised in Houston as a first-generation Vietnamese American, working weekends at her mother and grandmother's traditional Vietnamese restaurant. She earned her undergraduate degree from the University of Houston and a master's degree in human resources and employment relations from Penn State. She held human resources leadership roles at 3 Fortune 500 companies in the hospitality and retail industries before she and her husband walked away from corporate life to build something of their own. What they built was Traveler's Table, a restaurant in Houston's Montrose neighborhood that became, by 2025, the number 2 ranked restaurant in all of Houston on Yelp's top places to eat list, in one of the most competitive food cities in America. Number 2, in 2021, Guy Fieri featured them on diners, drive-ins, and dives. In 2023, one of their chefs competed on Beat Bobby Flay and won. In October 2024, the Mitchells opened a second location, Traveler's Cart, on Montrose Boulevard. In 2025, the Greater Houston chapter of the Texas Restaurant Association named the Mitchells the 2025 Restaurateurs of the Year. Thigh was also a board member of the Texas Restaurant Association's Greater Houston chapter. She owned a women's fashion line called Foreign Fare. Travel-inspired clothing, wrinkle-resistant, easy to pack, stylish but practical. That phrase, stylish but practical, is also how every single person who knew Thigh describes Thigh herself. Warm, present, generous. The first person to show up for someone else. The last person to make anything about herself. Just 1 week before May 4th, Thigh hosted a board meeting for the Houston Restaurant Association at Traveler's Table. Craig Howard, president of the Greater Houston chapter, told reporters that 50 restaurateurs showed up. Great operation, he said. Wonderful staff. Great food. That was days before everything ended. 3 days before May 4th, Thigh posted a video on Instagram with her daughter Maya. They had spent the afternoon dress shopping for Thigh's sister's upcoming wedding in Boston. Maya picked out her dress. Thigh wrote that Maya made sure her mom was set too. The caption read, "The sweetest mom-daughter time." 10 days before May 4th, Thigh posted another video. This one with Matthew. They were laughing about growing old together. Thigh joked, in writing on the post, that he thought they would grow old together. He would, but she was Asian. She did not have the heart to correct him. Hundreds of people commented and laughed with her. This is what was documented. The Instagram archive, the board meetings, the dress shopping, the laughing videos, the work, the celebrations, the public-facing life of a thriving family in the middle of building something extraordinary. The Instagram archive matters in a way I want to come back to, because Thigh was not just documenting for a brand. She was documenting her actual life in something close to real time, with the kind of consistency that creates a record, a timeline, evidence of who was in the house, who was happy, who was planning what. If you wanted to construct an honest picture of the Mitchell family on the outside, that Instagram is one of the most complete public records of a family you will ever see. Subscribe to Redacted Files Lab. The cases I cover here require the kind of careful unpacking that mass-market true crime skips over. If that's what you're looking for, you're in the right place. Now I need to talk about Matthew Mitchell, because this is where the case becomes complicated in a way that nobody has been able to resolve. Matthew Mitchell was 52 years old. His resume reads like fiction. Bachelor's degree from Emory University, studied in France, in Italy, at Oxford University in England. Worked as a journalist and writer in London, Paris, and New York City. Returned to Texas. Earned his graduate business degree at Rice University's Jones School of Management. Entered the pharmaceutical industry. Became president and CEO of the Texas Center for Drug Development, a clinical research company. And then, after more than 14 years in pharmaceuticals, he enrolled in culinary school, the Art Institute of Houston, earned an associate's degree in culinary arts, worked in Houston restaurants, and in 2019 opened Traveler's Table with his wife. I want you to hold one specific detail in your head because it becomes more important the longer you look at this case. Matthew Mitchell had zero social media. None. In 2026, in a country where the average adult spends hours a day on phones and platforms, where every restaurant owner in America is expected to be on Instagram talking about their menus, Matthew Mitchell maintained no public digital presence at all. Not a personal Facebook, not an Instagram, not a LinkedIn promoting Traveler's Table. Nothing. Thigh had joked about this publicly. She wrote that when they first met, she was convinced he was either a con artist or a married man living a double life, because who has no social media? But the answer was simpler than that. He just preferred books, newspapers, the physical world. He kept his interior life entirely offline. Think about what that means for an investigation. Thigh's life is documented in real time across years of Instagram content. Matthews is not. Not by him. There is no archive of what he was thinking, what he was watching, what he was searching, what he was reading on any platform that left a trail accessible to friends or family. His digital footprint, in the public sense, is roughly nothing. That is the tech outlier in this case, not a tracking app, not a smart device. The absence of a digital trail where modern life almost always leaves one. Whatever was happening inside Matthew Mitchell in the weeks and months before May 4th, the people around him would have had to detect it the old-fashioned way, from his face, from his voice, from the conversations he chose to have or not have, because nothing he posted online was going to give it away. There was nothing to post. His closest professional colleagues did not detect it. Stanton Bundy, the former head chef at Traveler's Table, the chef who appeared on Beat Bobby Flay and won during his time at the restaurant, told reporters that he had only ever seen Matthew and Thigh in a minor disagreement. He considered Matthew a great friend. After hearing what happened, Bundy said he was questioning everything he thought he knew. That is not a man who was warning anyone. That is a man whose closest workplace relationship felt completely normal up until the moment it ended. Matthew had dinner plans for Monday night, May 4th. Friends were expecting him. He never showed, because by 6:11 in the evening, the moment the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences recorded as the time of the children's deaths, Matthew Mitchell was no longer alive. I want to walk through the timeline of the final days because it tells a specific story. April 24th, 2026. 10 days before, I post the Instagram video laughing with Matthew about aging. That is the last documented public moment of the two of them together, May 1st, 2026. 3 days before, I post the dress shopping video with Maya. She is planning for her sister's wedding. She is looking forward. Sunday, May 3rd, 2026. The night before, multiple friends spoke with Thigh that evening. Every account from those calls describes her as completely normal, present, talking, planning, engaged. No tone of distress, no unusual content, no indication that anything was wrong inside that house. Sometime on Sunday night or early Monday morning, the Mitchell family went silent. The babysitter started trying to reach them. No response. Through the morning, through the afternoon, nothing came back. By late Monday, the babysitter and Thig's sister, Lynn Mai, had enough. They called HPD. 5:30 in the evening. Officers arrived at the Kingston Street home. 6:11 in the evening. The time of the children's deaths recorded by the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences. Simultaneously, in another part of Houston, Matthew's friends were sitting at a table waiting for him. He never came. I want to talk about the babysitter for a moment, because she is the closest thing this case has to someone who saw it coming, and even she did not see it coming. What she saw was an absence, a silence that did not match the rhythm of a family she knew. The babysitter could not have told a 911 operator that she suspected danger. She could not have named a specific incident. She could not have pointed to a recent fight, a stated threat, a behavior change documented anywhere. She had familiarity. She had the kind of intuition that comes from spending enough time inside a family's life to know what their normal sounds like. And their normal did not include 20 hours of silence. She did not save the family. The tragedy had already happened by the time officers walked through that front door. What the babysitter did was end the not knowing. She brought the world in. And she did it not because she had evidence, but because something in her gut told her this was wrong. That instinct, the kind that operates without documentation and without articulable reasons, is the only thing that registered in this case before HPD did. Let me address the financial angle, because it has come up in some reporting, and I want to handle it honestly. The Traveler's Card expansion in October 2024 was funded by approximately $2.35 million. That is also a number that represents significant debt. Running restaurants in 2025 and 2026 has been difficult for owners across the country. Labor costs, food costs, insurance, rent, all of it has been climbing. People in the Houston food community have acknowledged that context. But here is what a restaurant editor who knew the Mitchells closely told reporters directly. There is no indication that those financial pressures played a role in what happened on May 4th. That is a person with inside knowledge of both the industry and this couple, being deliberate about separating the financial backdrop from any confirmed cause. And investigators have not pointed to financial pressure as a known trigger, so the financial picture is context. It is not a confirmed motive. It may turn out to matter, it may not. We do not know yet. There is one more thread in this case that I want to handle very carefully because of how easily it could be sensationalized. Sources close to the case have alleged that in the period before May 4th, Matthew Mitchell had been experiencing paranoia. What form it took, what triggered it, what people around him observed or did not observe, none of that has been publicly addressed by HPD. The family has not addressed it. It is not in any official record. That allegation exists in the reporting on this case as a single unverified thread. I am including it here because honest coverage of this case requires acknowledging what is being reported. But I want to be clear about what it is and what it isn't. It is an allegation from unnamed sources. It is not a clinical determination. It is not in any official record. And it should not be used by anyone, including this channel, to construct a theory of what happened inside that house. What is undeniable is that whatever Matthew Mitchell was carrying in the days and weeks before May 4th, his closest friends did not see it. His professional colleagues did not see it. His wife's Instagram, which documented their life with warmth and humor through April 24th, did not register it. By every public-facing measure, the man who had dinner plans on Monday night was the same man who had been showing up to work and showing up to family events and being, in the words of one friend, a great friend, right up until the end. The weight was there. Nobody saw it. Subscribe to Redacted Files Lab. Cases like this require the kind of analysis that doesn't fit into a 30-second news segment, and the cases I cover here are the ones the mainstream coverage tends to leave unfinished. I want to come back to something that has been sitting with me throughout the research on this case. It is the way the Houston restaurant community responded the morning after. The staff of Traveler's Table and Traveler's Cart showed up for work. The people that Thy and Matthew had hired, trained, mentored, and promoted. They came in. They opened the doors. They kept serving Houston because that is what the Mitchells had built, not just two restaurants, a culture of people showing up for each other. The statement released by Traveler's Table said, "We want to thank our loyal staff who have shown up and worked through these difficult circumstances, ensuring that we continue to serve our community. We are asking for unity and respect for our privacy as we navigate this immense loss. Hospitality comes from within, and to honor the Traveler's legacy, we will continue to welcome you into our restaurants." The Traveler's legacy, that is what they called it. South House PR, which had represented the restaurants, released their own statement. Thy was not only a client, they said. She was a great friend, a devoted mother and businesswoman, always on her own journey, always looking for the next adventure. She will be dearly missed by many. Chef Jossie Bendrau, who had been planning a collaboration dinner with Thy when this happened, told reporters she was always on her toes, always planning, always supportive of the restaurant industry, from the very beginning to the very end. Emily Williams Knight, president and CEO of the Texas Restaurant Association, issued a formal statement. "We stand with the greater Houston hospitality community as we try to process the horrific deaths of Thy Mitchell and her family. To say that Thy will be missed is an understatement. We will remember Thy as a ray of light who inspired everyone around her." Thy's sister, Lynn Mai, posted on Facebook, "We are heartbroken to share that my sister, Thy, and her beloved children, Maya and Max, passed away last night. Our family is grieving deeply and asks for privacy during this incredibly difficult time." A sister announcing the deaths of her sister and a niece and a nephew on Facebook, without specifying the circumstances and without naming the man responsible, because that is the weight her family is now carrying. In front of the home on Kingston Street, a memorial began growing within hours. Flowers, photographs, notes from people who had eaten at Thy's tables and felt like they mattered just by being in the same room as her. Let me be precise about the current status of the case. This is being handled by Houston police as a murder-suicide. Matthew Mitchell has been named as the suspect. He is deceased. No criminal charges will be filed because there is no living suspect to charge. The medical examiner has confirmed all 4 causes of death. The 2 children, Maya and Maxwell, were found in their beds. The investigation remains active. HPD's Homicide Division is working the case, and the department has asked anyone with information to contact them at 713-308-3600. What is officially confirmed? Houston police have named the suspect. The medical examiner has issued findings. The children were found in their beds. The investigation continues. What has been reported by multiple sourced outlets, but not formally confirmed by HPD, that Thai was pregnant at the time of her death. What is unverified, sourced only from unnamed sources close to the case. The allegation regarding Matthew's mental state in the period before May 4th. That has not been addressed by police. It has not been addressed by the family. That is the current state of the public record. I want to step back now and talk about what this case tells us, because I think it goes beyond the Mitchell family specifically. The first thing, and I want to say this as plainly as I can, the absence of documentation is not the same as the absence of danger. No police calls to a home does not mean that home is safe. No restraining orders does not mean the relationship inside is healthy. No public warning signs does not mean a person is okay. We have built systems that rely on documentation as proof of reality. If it was not reported, it is not in the database. If it is not in the database, it does not exist. The Mitchell case is a direct, devastating rebuttal to that framework. The second thing, invisible crises are not less serious than visible ones. They are in some ways more dangerous because there is nothing for the people around the person to grab onto. No incident to point to, no behavior to flag, no moment to intervene. By the time the silence becomes the signal, it is too late. The third thing, the babysitter's instinct is the lesson here. She did not have a documented reason to call. She did not have evidence. She had familiarity, and she had a feeling that something was wrong. She acted on it anyway. The tragedy had already happened by the time her call went through, but her call is what ended the not knowing. And the broader lesson is this: when the silence is too long, when the gut says this is wrong, when something doesn't feel right but you can't articulate exactly why, acting on that instinct is the right thing to do, every time, without waiting for a documented reason. I want to end with who they were, because the analysis matters, but the people matter more. Thai Mitchell was 39 years old, a first-generation Vietnamese American who grew up working at her family's restaurant in Houston and went on to build a restaurant empire of her own, a master's degree holder, a Fortune 500 executive who walked away from corporate life to build something with her husband, a restaurateur, a fashion designer, a board member, a mother who spent the afternoon of May 1st dress shopping with her daughter and posting about it because she loved her life and was not afraid to show that love, a woman who by multiple reports was carrying a third child when she died. Maya Mitchell was 8 years old, born in 2018. She attended River Oaks Elementary School. She picked out a dress for her aunt's wedding 3 days before she died, and she rated her mom's dress a 10 out of 10. She was found in her bed. Maxwell Mitchell was 4 years old, born in 2021. He was also found in his bed. Matthew Mitchell was 52 years old, a journalist, a traveler, a pharmaceutical CEO, a man who studied at Oxford and then enrolled in culinary school because he wanted to build something with his wife, a man who named every cocktail on both restaurant menus, a man who his closest professional colleague called a great friend right up until the end, a man whose wife posted about him with love and humor 10 days before everything ended, and a man whom Houston police have identified as the suspect in the loss of his entire family on the evening of May 4th, 2026. A friend of the family wrote something after the tragedy that I want to read carefully because I think it is the most honest thing anyone has said about this case so far. She wrote, "Matthew, there are no words for the weight you must have carried. This kind of pain does not make sense, and that is what breaks me. Love was there, and still it was not enough." I want to be clear. Nothing in that statement excuses what investigators say Matthew Mitchell did. Nothing. Not to Thai, not to Maya, not to Maxwell, not to the child Thai was carrying. What it does acknowledge is the unanswered question at the center of this case. Whatever was happening inside that man in the final days, it was invisible to every person around him. It did not appear in any database. It did not surface in any conversation that anyone has reported publicly. It did not register in his wife's Instagram or his colleagues' lunches or his friends' dinner plans for Monday night. The weight was there. Nobody saw it, and 4 people are gone. The staff is still showing up at Traveler's Table. The doors are still open. The Traveler's legacy, as they named it, is being carried by the people Thai and Matthew built up over the years. The memorial on Kingston Street keeps growing. Flowers and notes and photographs from strangers who sat at Thai's tables once and felt seen by her in a way they never forgot. That was who she was. Here's the question I want you to leave with today, and I want your read on it in the comments, because I genuinely don't have a clean answer. The Mitchell family had no documented warnings, no police calls, no legal filings, no public red flags. By every measure that our systems are built to detect, this was a safe home. And yet 4 people are gone. What threshold would have caught it? What would the babysitter have needed to know or feel or document to have called 24 hours earlier, or 72, or a week, when the signs aren't written down anywhere? What is the responsibility of the people around a family? And what is the responsibility of the systems we have built to keep families safe? Tell me how you think about that. Because I have been sitting with it, and I keep coming back to the babysitter making a call she could not justify with documentation, and I keep wondering how many other quiet houses on quiet streets are missing the kind of person who would make that call. If this case affected you in any way, and these cases do affect people, please reach out. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available by call or text 24 hours a day, free and confidential. If you or anyone you know is in an unsafe relationship, the National Domestic Violence Hotline can be reached at 1-800-7999-7233. Help exists. Please use it. Subscribe to Redacted Files Lab. The cases I cover here are the ones that require this kind of attention. Thank you for bringing yours. Rest in peace, Thy Mitchell. Rest in peace, Maya. Rest in peace, Maxwell. The traveler's legacy continues.